let's kickstart the show then and let's welcome on board our guest for the day, Anil Rego, the founder and CEO at Right Horizons. Anil, thanks so much for taking the time out and joining with us today. Let's talk about this term that has taken the entire personal finance space by fire. And well, literally the term is fire. Financial independence, retire early, or FIRE, that's known as FIRE. It's a very trending term right now among Gen Zs and millennials as well. It has largely to do with saving or investing enough right now to be able to retire early in the future. So for the sake of our viewers, break down this term for us, help us understand why this term has become so buzzing and so popularly used these days.
Yes, financial independence and retire early is what it's about. Fire, and it has, I think, become almost something which everybody aspires to do. Today, you have a lot of individuals looking to become entrepreneurs, people liking to do different things, wanting to be fulfilled in their life, and from that, they want to, be financially independent early. They would also like to focus on their passions at some point of time. They don't want it, to be such that they come to a certain age and after that they are not able to achieve them. And yes, it's also been good financially for a lot of people. They've got good salaries, they have seen good growth. Many of them have seen ESOPs and stuff. So that has become an important aspect for them. And typically, one looks to retire probably by 40s. If I will give, my own example, right? Because I had this goal of retiring from corporate life, from when I was 35. Okay. I kept that goal right from an early age, right from the time I started working, and was actually able to achieve it earlier than scheduled. So when I was about 30, 31, I ended up actually setting out and starting Right Horizons. So in some form, I think this is something that has been there, but yes, today it's come into prominence.
Right, Anil, we'll get to your journey when it comes to early independence as well. But for now, help me understand this because, like you said, the psychological factors among people have increased. Focus on mental health is going up. People are understanding the importance of leisure time, the fact that there is more to life than work. So tell us how and where can one invest enough to be able to retire early? Let's say if they're aiming for their early 40s.
Yes, so let me also capture a few points that a lot of people keep in mind, right? So in terms of where can they invest, I think the points that you look at is if you want to retire early, you should make your money work for you, right? So, and that's a simple, one-liner. And avenues which can help you do that, which can help you beat inflation, which can also grow well. It also means that possibly you need to take a higher level of risk. So I think some of the equity related, whether it's a mutual fund, stocks, or even PMS, I think some of those will become an important part of your portfolio because you want your capital to grow fast, right? And at the same time, it's important to be diversified because while you have, some of these long-term goals, you will also be juggling with your current day-to-day needs. So you would be needing to have your asset allocation, you need to have your own debt, your liquidity, and all of it. So broadly, I would say, look at avenues that, are market linked for a significant part of it, but for a part of it, look at what is the risk profile and your asset allocation. And within funds, then you can say, how do I break it up? Maybe starting off with hybrid to, debt to equity, and the equity side, possibly do large cap, mid cap, small cap. Have a good and disciplined investment style. Do SIPs. As your portfolio grows, you can start looking at PMSs and other avenues which can also help you go along the way.
Right, all right. Thanks for touching up on that. But I also wanted to get some clarification. Now, does aiming for an early retirement in the future means that one needs to live frugally at present? This is a misconception that a lot of people have that if they are able to just live frugally or should I rather say live miserly, they will be able to retire early. Is this a misconception or could you clear the light around this?
Yes, I think definitely a misconception at 2 points. One is right now, while you are striving towards it, and secondly as well later on, post retirement. Okay, so I think in both cases, life is about finding a balance, right? So you need to strike that between, enjoying your life, not going overboard. Yes, look at mostly, what your needs are and work towards them. But there also will be wants that come on the way. And it's about how you are able to find that balance. And not only now, like I said, even tomorrow in the future, when you're retiring or when you are into your early retirement, so to say, you may still want to go for your overseas trips. You may want to do a lot of the other, things that you spend on. Okay, but the point is, how do you plan for that, both today as well as post, the retirement life or post when you stop working? I would rather say, okay, and that is, I think, important to keep that in mind. So if you plan accordingly, say, okay, you know what, this is my standard of living that I want to plan for later, and even right now, this is what my expenses, etc. are. I don't go overboard on my expenses. At the same time, I don't also live frugally, and at the same time saying how do I make my money work for me, right? And I think that is something that can really happen for somebody working. Typically, you may have at least about 15 years, even if you look to retire or you look to stop working by your 40s. So there's enough of time for compounding as well. But then you need to start early. Okay, so you need to start early enough so that you have that 15 years, 20 years of compounding. And that, even though, let's say, it's a smaller part of your overall compensation, the compounding also helps work for you, and you're able to achieve it.
All right, Anil, let me break down this term a little bit more. Let's focus on the first two words of this term, right? Financial independence. Now, it's a subjective term, it's a big umbrella term. According to you, in your view, what exactly is financial independence, and how can one actually become financially independent without having to worry for future emergencies as well?
Yeah, so I think the independence comes from being able to do your day-to-day stuff, right? Without having to watch over it all the time, and being able to live your standard of living, being able to pursue your passions. And I think that's about financial independence. It's also about having the capital and maybe a backup for you so that, you have the confidence to be able to do that, right? So, and even when I did it for myself, I said, yes, this is the capital that I want. And of course, that time it was, I put a number of a crore. That was many, almost like a couple of decades back. Okay, so that is something which you set yourself a goal towards, and for each person is going to be different, right? So financial independence for one person, you by nature you may be living frugally, right? And you're happy about it. It's not that you're actually uh, trying to be miserly, right? But that's a nature. For somebody else, they may be going very aggressive, right? So you have to see what is it that works for you. Financial independence is very subjective and it depends from person to person. But the point is, are you able to do all that you were able to do while you were working? Okay, if you are not, and I think that's where independence comes from. And what gives you independence is the capital that is there behind you, and you know that okay, I have this capital which is there, which will help me say take care of my monthly expenses and also possibly for certain emergencies.
All right, Anil, I'm going to throw a hypothetical at you. Let's say I am in my late 20s right now and I have decided that I want to retire early. How do I factor in variables that you see, like children along the way, or health insurance, or paying for any loans that you want to take as you grow older? So, how do I factor in all of this while also being stable on the path of achieving early retirement?
Yeah, so I think the most important and the best way of doing it is to start off with a financial plan, right? And like you said, how do you capture all those milestones that you have, both for yourself and for your family as a whole, right? So, and typically we also encourage, let's say, a family to do the financial planning also together, also to converge. Now, you may decide to have certain, mechanisms in place saying that, okay, how do you want to spend? Each of you want to spend your money and towards what and etc. But I think many of those goals are common. So I think you need to first go back, look at some of your goals, and not all of it may be visible right now, right? So if you are in your 20s, you may be married, may not be married. Okay, if you are, then yes, some of them are clearer in terms of priorities. But even if you're not, then you have to come back and try to capture it and say, okay, this is likely the thing, even including for my marriage, this is the expense that I need to spend. Okay, probably, a lot of it becomes very theoretical, I would say, because you may be doing it a lot earlier and they may not be visible. But I think it's important to have those placeholders. And even if it does not happen the way I look at it, it's okay. What we suggest, because you're doing it so much in advance, is you have to revisit your plan, right? You revisit your plan every 3 years to 5 years and relook at all your assumptions. And then life is a journey. So as long as you do that, our experiences, there may be something new that comes up. There may be some rework that you have to do. Many times we find there's even a standard of living change that happens. There's a large house that you buy, right? So you have to look at all of those. And yes, in your journey, there will also be liabilities that come along the way because you may be wanting to buy your own house. And if you're wanting to buy your own house, yes, it's a good idea because it also helps you save tax. Yeah, and the tax saved, comes back to you in some form. And that sort of is making your money work for you as well. Okay, so you may be able to converge on some of these, sort of put them together, okay, and then go back and work towards it. If you are also going and on a periodic basis reviewing your plan, then I think as you come closer to your goal, right, you will have achieved it. And I'm still saying even if there's some gap, it's okay, right? It's okay because maybe now it's a percentage gap that you have. Otherwise, if you've not even looked at it, you may not even have it, out there, right? So you may not even plan for it. So it's better to plan for it and have say 10% gap versus not planning for it at all.
Perfect. And I just want to quickly squeeze in one more question with you. Let's talk about the impact of inflation because over the course of saving, we are going to be seeing higher inflation rates, or we have to course correct as and when inflation goes up or goes down. So, what's your advice to our viewers on how they can diversify their funds for maximal returns, keeping in mind that they will also have to be factoring in for inflation?
Yeah, so I think inflation is an important aspect that people need to consider. Okay, and I also say that based on experience, most people underestimate, okay, the need for inflation, to plan for inflation, and underestimate the impact of inflation. And I just simply give it in a way which is easy to illustrate to say that, let's say today, if you need a lakh a month, say in about 8 years you may need 2 lakhs a month. Okay, in about 16, okay, it's almost like four. So I'm just saying it goes up crazy, and the next cycle, if you look at it, it becomes almost like 8 lakhs, which is about a crore a year, right? So the numbers are staggering. And imagine if you need a crore a year, in the last few years, which is most likely going to happen, okay, only because of inflation, right? So it's very, very important to take care of inflation. While you're planning, it's a good time to do it. Excel has its calculators which you can use. Look at the compounded rate of growth of inflation. Capture what is it that you sort of require, say, at your retirement, and also post-retirement, you have to see how you can model it into saying, inflation even post-retirement, because that is something which is very, very critical to you. So, if in the example that I gave you, the 1 lakh that I said should not be as of now. So it's going to be, what is the amount that I need, say, if I retire at 45, right? Or if I retire at 40. And it's not likely to be 1 lakh as of today. You have to compound that as well. Okay. And say, okay, this 1 lakh as of today, maybe say 3 or 4 lakhs. And also, how do I take care of, inflation post my, these 45 years? So that
Right.
is a
Well,
very, very important aspect. And like I said, most people miss it out when they, just do, not calculate it. And doing a financial plan may be a good way of doing it. And if you're not able to do it yourself, I think you can always enlist the service of a financial planner.
got it, Anil. Thank you so much for sharing your outlook on this entire fire theme that we've been seeing.